Wow is just about all I can say. Hello everyone, hope we're all doing well. Welcome back to CSGO News here on the Esports Talk channel. I really do hope you guys all enjoy, and this is going to be NIP Exposing Part 1. I'm not really sure if I want to call it the Exposing, but I am sure there'll be multiple parts to this series as we break down all of the allegations brought to us by Fifflaren as well as Richard Lewis yesterday night. Now also keep in mind guys, this story was conducted by Richard Lewis, so keep an eye out for his VODs and his articles about this because I'm sure he'll have plenty to say on breaking this down, and he has been the source of shedding more light on the situation. And I think when we all knew about this, Fifflaren stating many weeks ago he'd come out about NIP in his stories, I don't think any of us in our right heads could have thought about the exposing he did last night. So again, keep an eye out for Richard Lewis and his content guys, as well as this channel. I'll be breaking this down probably throughout several parts as we do learn more information out there. Now this first part though, we'll be breaking down all of the allegations made by Fifflaren last night. They will all be timestamped down below. If you guys want to hop around or get sick of my voice, you can bounce around to whatever subjects you do want to hear about. But let's talk about it guys, part 1 of the NIP exposing. And this actually starts out with the old NIP, which Fiff was of course a part of back in 2012 and 2013 when they were so utterly dominant, especially 2013. Throughout that year alone, they pretty much won everything on the circuit. And some first bold points made by Fifflaren is the amount of money he did make throughout the domination. And also you must keep in mind throughout the success throughout 2012 and especially throughout 2013, the merch sales, the sponsorship deals they did land, their own TV series. Heck, these guys, many people do forget, they had their own McNIP, their own burger at McDonald's, which the players saw $0 from. And Fiff actually states how much he did make throughout the year of 2013 alone. And it was pretty staggering, which he does state to be the amount of just around $34,000 in total after all was said and done.
During that year, 2013, and again, this is obviously reported, right? Because we got into tax problems. I made 217,909 Swedish crowns before tax.
So what's that in?
That's less than average pay in Sweden, I might add. That comes out to be
22,000.
33.5k, I think, in total, if I were to convert.
$34,000, not even that, according to Fiff himself in that clip, guys, with a TV series, a McDonald's burger, McNIP, and under their name, sponsorship deals aside from that, and as well as a TV series. $34,000, I'm sure you guys can imagine, is an utterly low amount. Not to mention, we'll talk about in a bit here, these players were almost forced into tax evasion because their taxes were done so poorly on the side of NIP. They additionally, in the coming years, had to pay more out of that actual income they did make. So that $34,000 became even less after the problems they were actually running into with NIP's tax issues they had with these players. Also, I do need to note though, because Fifflaren did say earlier in the actual VOD himself, these players were well communicated to what they would be paid. They were promised a different prize distribution. They were promised a salary each and every month. It was well communicated, and they did accept that. Although you must kind of recognize as well, as a player back in the day, are you going to say no to your organization if they offer you what seems to be fair? Of course you're going to accept that, and that is what led to the next big point out there. At the end of 2013 or close around those months, it was actually the players who were sat down for an emergency meeting, and they were then told that the ex-CEO, that being Nicholas Fisku, is the name that comes up several times throughout this VOD, had apparently run away to Thailand with all of their prize pools and all of their prize money. Yes, they had made around 34 grand throughout the total entirety of 2013, but they were also promised a lot of prize money after that, which was not going to be paid because Nicholas Fisku allegedly had run away to Thailand with all of that money.
And we're like, he's fled to Thailand, nowhere to be found. Like, this is kind of odd, right? And then, you know, the whole thing of like, but don't worry, guys, we have this all under control. Like, I remember at the time they were like, yeah, he fled with all the money, like all of the old NIP, all your prize money, they're gone. Like everything you made, no, it's gone, dude. Like he wasted it. He fled to Thailand.
But then according to Richard Lewis, who had tracked this man down and apparently spoken to him as well, it was the same Nicholas Fisku who the players had been told had run away with their money. He then said no, he had found out they had no financials, they had no prize money available in their accounts because it was tied up with apparently Heaton's business ventures. Now Heaton comes up several times throughout this as well. I still have no idea, and I'm not sure if anyone has any idea what his role will be to play out in these several manipulations of these players and these several thousands of dollars, if not tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars being owed to players, what his involvement is. But according to Nicholas Fisku, who was placed as the first victim, he then blames Heaton for having all of the money tied up. And this is where the confusion does start, and this is where NIP will have to respond and hopefully show some proof in the future. But it does get better, because the same day where these players, according to Fifflaren, when these players were actually sat down for an emergency meeting where they were told, you're not going to be paid, they also were told, don't worry though, we have a brand new investor for NIP chocolates. You're not going to be paid what you were owed, but we have a new investor. So for the future, you should be good this time. Can you imagine being owed tens of thousands of dollars and having your organization say, hey, we're not going to pay that, don't worry, it's gone, but also don't worry because we have a brand new sponsor, chocolates, it's going to be fine this time. And next up, a big point made by Fiff, guys, probably going to be a big point for the future arguments and parts of this NIP exposing. And if you guys have a better title for this, feel free to recommend that. Fiff does state, and this is going to be a big controversial point because NIP has currently responded as well. We'll probably touch on that tomorrow because I have other videos to do here on the channel. But that being the fact is this, because this is the old NIP, there's a lot of blame placed on the old management, even though, according to Fifflaren, there is no way there is all new management, right? It's be an easy excuse for NIP to come out, as they did this morning, and say, hey, that was all old management. We have all completely new management, so that was their wrongdoing, not our wrongdoing. Now, Fiff brings up a great point, though. Is it true? Is every single old management, is every single person involved in the old 2012 to 2014 lineups, or even up to 2016 lineups, is every person who was involved gone out of the organization? Highly unlikely. So there is still blame to be placed, and there are still probably, I'm going to say, allegedly big uppers who were involved in these old controversial disagreements and these old controversial, all these allegations out there that are still in NIP today, and therefore there is still some blame to be placed on the new NIP, and there still should be some reparations to be paid to all of these people that are currently still involved. And some fun facts for you guys to break the mood a little bit in between. Some fun facts I probably won't bring up in the future because they're not too relevant until these players do come out about this. Fifflaren did state that back in the day, after their 2013 dominance, that entire NIP lineup could have been bought for $200,000 total. How crazy is that, right? When you think about today, Coldzera's buyouts way above that. Nico's was allegedly way above that. You guys know many players, single players who have buyouts way above that, but an entire dominant roster, the single best roster in Counter-Strike in 2013, could have been bought out entirely for $200K. That was pretty crazy. Also, some very crazy statements. As I said before, we'll wait for Anders to come forward about this if he wants to share his story. Allegedly, Anders was also done many times wrong by NIP, which is like one of the nicest guys in the scene. So here's that clip.
They were all saying, oh, look, Anders is super biased towards NIP whenever he casts an NIP game because he's NIP TV. Meanwhile, he was embroiled in a business argument with the org to get back control of his YouTube channel, to get money that he was owed. And they're all going, yeah, look at him being biased.
And also, one quick note for all of you guys, I am not playing all of these clips from his VOD because, first of all, his VOD has since been taken down. I expect Richard Lewis to have his own YouTube video about this. And if I'm going to play you guys every clip, well, you might as well go watch his content instead. So for a lot of these things, just take my word for what was said. And if you want to check out the entire thing, then make sure to check out Richard Lewis. I think that's probably only fair about such a big story like this. Now, also, we get into more serious accusations out there. Fifflaren did go on to state what he thinks he is owed by the current NIP management or the organization, which he does say is at least $30,000 for himself alone. You can only imagine what it would be for other players who played with him at that time, but Fifflaren himself does state he thinks he is owed at least $30,000 alone from the NIP organization. But also, we do go on to now the contractual clauses for their new lineup. If Fifflaren was included in this, of course, when they had a new investor come in, some new contracts were offered, and so let's go over the clauses that were actually offered, and I do have sticky notes for this. I do apologize, guys, I couldn't memorize every clause. I do have a clip of one of them being said, but these new contracts, they were pretty crazy. So clause number 1 that was brought up, it's not really too big of one, actually might not even been enforced, but they do get progressively worse as we do go on. Apparently they must have streamed 10 hours per month minimum with no additional income for doing so. The biggest thing here is the fact these guys were traveling or practicing 100% of the time according to Fifflaren, so this kind of seems unfair to make them stream when they weren't even paid extra to do so. On top of that, when it comes to the fines of if they actually broke a contract clause or if they actually were in violation duration of their contract, they could be charged allegedly up to 20,000 euros, and that would be 20 months of salary for breaking anything in their contracts. That is absolutely absurd, although it was a correction, possibly even if it was in the Swedish krones or Swedish crowns, however you do pronounce that currency, that's still 2 months of salary being taken away if you violate any part of your contract, which is still very, very nuts. And also, one we do have a clip of, guys, probably the best one yet. A player could be placed inactive at any point in time for any reason, and then would not even need to be paid salary or prize pools, according to NIP. Now, I think we actually did see this. If I am correct me if I'm wrong here, guys, with Smuya back in the day on Epsilon, but his was a reduced salary, right? I think he was on Epsilon's starting roster. They benched him, went to an active roster or benched roster, and then he was paid a really, really low portion of his salary. This one is even worse somehow and states you could be paid no salary or no prize pools once you are placed on the bench or done inactive for any reason at all.
The organization can set the status of the player to inactive at any time of their choosing. And if they do that, the player has no right to get any compensation, salary, prize money, anything from that day forth. And your contract duration will not be affected by this decision.
And then very lastly, one of the most incentivized contract clauses we've probably seen, and I really don't look at contracts too much, so take that with a grain of salt for sure. This was actually when it comes terms for prize pool distribution for their new contracts. If they place top 3, they get the cut 75-25. If they placed outside top 3, they get the cut 60-40. That is such a, I mean, yes, you might think from a business standpoint, that's genius, right? You clearly incentivize your players to want to do better because otherwise they get less of their prize pool. But of course, you as the organization also benefit because the prize pools from top 3 to outside top 3 could drop off drastically. So it just seems like a bit of an iffy statement. I know it's probably not too crazy, but even then, by today's standards, prize pool wise, not necessarily the most fair things we have seen. And now the huge question, the big question I'm sure a few of you guys were thinking of, and Richard was as well, the giant question of why these players would decide to re-sign with an organization, that being NIP, after such a tumultuous 2 or 3 years or so, back from 2012 and 2013, where they lost all of their prize money. These contracts were clearly not contracts of the highest degree. They probably could have done better elsewhere. Why do you re-sign to NIP? To that, Fiff did say they were pretty much scared, but also had faith in the organization. Remember, guys, they had their own McDonald's menu item. They had their own TV series. They had merch they weren't getting cuts from, but apparently they had faith in that as well. And along with all of that, they were promised if they ever ran into the IRS for tax evasion, which we did not talk about too much earlier, but based off how poorly these taxes were done, these players were pretty much evading the law when doing so. NIP did say if the IRS comes knocking on your door to tax evasion, we'll pay whatever fees that does entitle. And so NIP players currently, that's why they re-signed, because they had faith in all of the things going for the organization, all of their sponsors and all of their partnerships going forward, but also because other teams maybe would not offer the same thing of paying for their tax evasion when the IRS comes knocking, and that is why they re-signed. Do I blame him for that? No, I'd probably be in the same goddamn shoes if I was that scared of the IRS coming my way, which could have charged you tens of thousands of dollars, which other organizations might not have been as generous. And of course, if another organization finds out you are evading taxes, they might not even want you. And this next one, guys, definitely going to be a talking point, I would say, historically wise for esports organizations. Yes, one of the craziest things, this whole story is one of the craziest things we have seen for Counter-Strike throughout the year so far, but this one statement made by Fifflaren, it's absolutely insane. At one point in time, he did state for the NIP organization, they had to ask with written permission whether or not they could have a girlfriend, and if approved, they then had to actually approve further if that girlfriend was suitable for the player, if she was not going to be an annoyance or of course take away from them being a pro player. Yes, these grown adults had to ask their NIP managers, hey, can I have this girlfriend? Can I have this partner of mine? They had to ask with written permission and then have their girlfriend also be approved. Yeah, I'll leave that one there. And oh man, this next one could be a story in itself. The Maikelele story could be a video in itself, because I'm sure we all know notoriously now org after org has kind of screwed Maikelele over the past couple of years with his short and rough stints. He's had a couple of run-ins with NIP. His first one though, it was quite brutal, as I'm sure only a few of you guys are aware of. All the way back in the day, he was a replacement for Fifflaren, but it's not exactly the story it makes out to be. He was actually told to be joining NIP several months ahead of time. That's why he tweeted out apparently an NIP chair, but but he was actually told he'd be joining NIP after they had one more bad result. The problem there is they went on to go win the Cologne Major, and that was delayed ever further. Now, eventually, when he did replace Fifflaren on the roster, Fiff was actually told the day of by his roommate, that being Peta. I'm sure you guys are well aware of him. And then he had to go. You probably won't guess this. He had to go himself and tell his team he had been replaced, almost as if they had no idea. He's not really sure if they actually had an idea or if he was just supposed to retell them that he was leaving the roster. But when this guy found out, and Maikelele showed up to his door, to his bedroom door, to tell him he was being replaced by him, he then had to walk out with him and tell the entire team he was being replaced. Now, even furthermore, I'm sure you guys know this story as well. Within a couple of months, it was Maikelele off the team because allegedly he was not the team's pick, but supposedly the management's pick. And so he didn't really connect very well, didn't mesh very well with that roster. So after being given so much hope for several months, he finally joins the roster and then is done after such a short stint because he finds out the players possibly hadn't selected him and he wasn't their choice. Fifflaren, though, after being replaced, was actually offered a job. I assume the job was not offered with much pay involved because he was offered to go to shootout events to rep the brand. And he did turn that down. I'm sure you guys are very shocked by that. After all the great treatment of NIP to Fifflaren, he rejected the job offer? A crappy job offer? No way. What a shock that was. But now the biggest allegations, which Richard Lewis has brought up several years ago, have now come back to light. I will link this article down below for all of you guys, where Richard breaks down potentially, not even including Fifflaren and that old lineup, what is owed to them, but now potentially could be in upwards of $340,000 in outstanding debt of prize pools and sticker money to newer NIP lineups, which is absolutely absurd to think about. Now, again, NIP has responded to all of this. I will probably talk about this tomorrow because now it's become a sheer battle of he said, she said. It's Richard Lewis and Fiff and all of his allegations versus new NIP management. So again, we're gonna see what actually comes of this, guys. But let's just take into perhaps, I haven't even touched on all the points, right? There were several points that I actually did not bring up because they are not too relevant, but there are so many things brought up here, right? Fifflaren thinks he is owed at least $30,000 himself. Who knows about the other old NIP lineups or players, what they are owed as well. On top of that, it could be more, could be less. We also have players being forced into tax evasion. We have players not being paid a single dollar for merch sales, from sponsorship deals, from the MIC NIP. They did not make a single dollar from the TV series, supposedly on top of that. And now we have Richard Lewis bringing up years ago, potentially $340,000 of outstanding debt to other players as well. We have Anders being targeted. We have missing charity money. We have just so many storylines, and my head hurts. And at this point, you know NIP is going to cover ground, right? And I think we already know what they're going to do. I'm not going to lie to you guys. In fairness, I did already see their statement about this, and they're already trying to brush it under the rug as that was old NIP. We're new NIP. We don't have a single person that used to be a part of the old NIP. Not a single person is still here for new NIP, so that's on them. That's on 2016 and before management. We're the new NIP. We have done nothing wrong, and it's crazy to see after all of these allegations that there's no chance you could brush it all under the rug as, oh, what a coincidence, or that didn't happen. It seems that NIP is now admitting, yes, that did happen, but that was the old us, not the new us. We're changed, and we'll find out if that is true. According to Fiff, very lastly, guys, he has been reached out to now by tons of players, at least 4 or 5 players across 4 or 5 esports that have had similar issues involving pay and supposedly other problems as well, and I will be here to break it down every day if I have to, guys. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for liking and sharing, but also keep in mind to check out Richard Lewis's content because he did shed the light on the situation, and he is the reason, alongside Fifflaren, we have this story in the first place. Also, if you guys are a player for NIP, an old player as well, you want to reach out for an interview or even an anonymous interview about coming forward about your struggles with them, please, my DMs are always open on both of my Twitters. As always, I hope you guys all enjoy. My name is Jake. I'll see you back here sometime soon with CSGO news. I had a CSGO video for today, but this kind of took precedence. So I'll see you back here today with another CSGO video as well as other esports news. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you soon.